And hello and welcome to Blind Tag Wrestling News Now. This is your Forbidden Door. That's right, folks. We've opened it up, we've tore it down, and I think we burned that son of a bitch to the ground, if you'd agree with me over there.
I do.
It was one hell of a show. In fact, a lot of haters out there, a little cup of hater out there are doing some stuff leading up to the show. We'll get into that, but I'm here for nothing but positivity with an instant review here on Blind Tag, and I would be remiss if I didn't say, by the way, my name is John, and I am joined here for the first time with Cody.
Hello.
And a little thing here for Kota. It's not Kota Ibushi to you. It's my son. That's right. It's my partner in crime here. It is the other half of evil, the spawn of the devil himself. And my God, if you only knew how much truth lies behind those words. But listen, it's the 26th of June that this thing took place, 2022. A day after my birthday, which lies right between good and evil. It's the way I like it. And what we had was a sold out United Center, and with no CM Punk. How about that? A sold out United Center. And Chicago, let me tell you, this crowd, Chicago's been one of those towns that has become truly a wrestling town again. I mean, it doesn't matter what they bring in there. The fans come out, they're fired up, and this crowd was with them all night long.
Yeah, it's almost like they had an educated crowd that enjoyed professional wrestling.
Absolutely. Absolutely. As weird as that is, right? Even some of the commentary didn't quite get that until later on. And it was funny, I have to admit, hearing, I think it was JR that was like, well, this is kind of weird, that these people love
giving support to the talent.
Yeah, giving support to the talent. It's like, maybe this company might have been built on,
New Japan.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is something that Cody and I talked about years ago that could be possible. It's one of the exciting things. The first press conference with AEW was, oh my God, the possibilities. And of course, we had to get rid of Harold. We had to do a few things there, but we've got finally, through all the injuries and all the naysayers, and boy, howdy, was there some naysayers that, well, this guy's injured, that guy's injured, this person's not going to be there, it's going to be a B show at best, how are they going to do anything? And, the indicators of selling out in a couple of minutes or whatever, for 16,000 people, I remember when somebody said years ago that you would never feel 10,000 people for, something that wasn't WWE, and that was in Chicago as well. But funny how times have changed. Listen, to the show. We started tonight with the buy-in, and, the buy-in itself is normally not that much to be, talked about, but we had something really cool. We had Kevin Kelly, the voice of New Japan Pro Wrestling in the United States, and a friend of the show. We'll say friend of the show. How's it going, Kevin? Really appreciate the talent that was brought in by there. We had Man in the Mask himself, Excalibur. Man, I love hearing William Regal call him that. And we had, the Human Suplex Machine. We had Taz on commentary. And what a crew they made, don't you think?
The best commentary team that AEW's had.
I mean, that was pretty amazing.
It is.
I would like to hear more of them somehow.
Kevin Kelly's my favorite personal announcer of all time.
Yeah, man. I mean, he's got everything it takes. I mean, something about him makes me feel like it's like when you got a good captain at the helm.
I always feel like he's sitting in the living room in between the couch with us because he talks educated wrestling for educated wrestling fans.
Yeah.
And I think that's why he has such a universal love around him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that wholeheartedly. He knows the inside baseball. He never acts stupid. Like if somebody does something or screws something up, he just sort of...
He covers it. He doesn't degrade the talent.
Right. Never. It's
for a back rake.
Yeah. It's oh, wow. Oh, it's going to be that kind of show, huh?
I'm not Raja.
Hey, I'm down with it. There's positivity to both of it. I get it. But, we had a lot of cool stuff. We had New Japan's ring announcer out there doing it all night with Justin, which was cool. But we started out with Yoshihashi and Haruki Goto against Aaron Solo and QT Marshall. So this match, it was what it was. And, it was actually some good work. And, actually to introduce the world, because this would be one of those that you would be introducing the world to. I think that Yoshihashi and Goto, although Goto is more familiar to the American fans, a lot of Yoshihashi work is normally staying there in Japan. And not a whole lot of it out here. But at the end of the day, they did pick up the win over Solo and Marshall in 8:54. And again, it was what it was. They kept it pretty basic, as you should with an opener, especially on a pre-show. We came out next with a surprise match. I don't think I'd seen this one advertised anywhere.
I hadn't seen it released.
No, they daubed it. They just daubed it. There's a deep cut for you. They dubbed it a Haas fight, but Lance Archer versus Nick Comoroto, and a little inside baseball for you on this one with somebody I manage, Chris Richards. Chris, I love you, but they booked us on a big card one time, and it was a really big deal. It was one of those big indie shows, and we we're going to be going against some good names, and it was a Haas fight tournament. And brother calls me up, and he's like, "Do you think I'm a Haas?" I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Do you think I'm a Haas?" And I really didn't know how to answer that. And brother was hot. He was like, "I'm not doing it." I'm like, "Dude, Haas I think is a good term these days. I don't think it's a bad thing."
I think I've been referred as Haas since I walked out of the womb.
Yeah, so it's one of those things. So love you, Richards, Mr. Richards there. Woo, how's that going? Yeah, how's that going there? Got to watch out for the Fabe. We're not talking about Fabian. So
I also think that the Archer match was to build him up for the G1 because they kept putting that in there that he was in the big bracket, so they wanted him to have a big opponent.
And he's super over, especially in Japan.
He's made for Japan.
Yeah, when during the G1 announcements at Dominion, when they announced his name, that place, they actually made a sound, which
they loved Archer.
Yeah, you can't make sounds, and that's crazy because he used to spit in kids' faces with water. It's like something. Tell you what, man. I love the Japanese. I love the culture. I respect everybody, but you got to really love a culture that enjoys you spitting in their kids' faces. So, Lance Archer, super over, and he was over Nick Comoroto, and no big surprise there. 608 in this one. I think Comoroto he's one of those few guys I think's in the wrong company, because I can see him as a Captain Caveman character.
Yeah, he's an NXT developmental.
Oh man, I'm telling you, he would do fantastic somewhere else. But then we had two of our favorites. We had Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland out there.
Whose house?
Oh, Swerve's house. It's always Swerve's house. We had them out there, and they've had a little bit of friction here recently. A little bit of back and forth, but that was put on hold because we had to go against Kanemaru and one of my favorites, Despy. El Desperado, he's in that whole Hiromu, Dragon Lee love triangle thing. But, they've had some spectacular matches. Desperado's had one of the best years so far, if you do keep up with New Japan Pro Wrestling, bar none, really. He's always reliable, and poor guy got the shit kicked out of him by Suzuki for so long. You can only go one of two ways with that, right? And he
doesn't enjoy the beatings.
No, he's went the correct way with it. So this thing is it was a great match. It was worked really well. I know you were putting over the work with.
I really like the opening spot where Kanemaru did he did a test of strength with Keith Lee from the top rope because he wasn't tall enough to.
Which just right there, that's psychology. So good stuff into that one, and this, Keith Lee and Swerve went up on this one against Despy and Kanemaru. I didn't know how this was going to go. 12 minutes, 4 seconds, but that really got us to that last hard sell. And, we had Ricky Starks, Powerhouse Hobbs cut a promo from one of the skyboxes challenging Lee and Strickland for a match after that was over. You know, I love the fact that we were still building. This is something we haven't always done in AEW, but building to the next Dynamite. You know, it happened a lot. So good stuff there. But we did have one left, and that was Max Caster, Billy Gunn, Austin Gunn, and Colton Gunn with Bowens with Anthony Bowens against Yuya Uemura, Alex Coughlin, Kevin Knight, and the DKC, the LA Dojo Boys, coming out there. And I tell you, man, it was pretty fantastic. Probably nothing more fantastic, as always, than Caster's rap.
Almost. It was for me, Caster's rap was second to Danhausen re-releasing the Colin Young Ass Boys theme.
Oh my God.
Straight from God's Hate, and it's perfect.
Oh my God. That was unexpected and fantastic, which also caused the Ass Boys to take a powder there to try to figure out what was going on. And it was a perfect spot for Danhausen, which using Danhausen in these spots, it's what he's made for.
He prints money.
Yeah, it's what he's made for. Sells T-shirts, comic relief, and we do need that in any company. So I was happy to see this, man. But Caster, man, he has this knack to say some things, and there was, you know, some washing balls references, little things like that you probably don't want to say to these dudes. And they took it out on him. It was really good though. I think that the Acclaimed may be turning babyface coming up. I think that they're babyface already in the eyes of the fans.
I think they'll turn babyface if Shibata let him alive.
Yeah.
After the pay-per-view with him being in the back.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If they're still around.
If there's one thing you have to say about Max Caster, it doesn't matter who's in the locker room.
Yeah.
He's going to say what he wants to.
Oh, he is. He is. And I appreciate that quite a bit. So we get on to the main show. This is it, folks. What's going to happen, right? We've seen all the people with all their opinions and all those early morning, you know, British talk shows that come on there with their news and talking about, you know, hey, and I know you got to have clickbait. You have to have it. But I get tired of it, man. It seems so one-sided. It just seems one-sided. When you've got one guy that's actually diddled half his staff and is up for, you know, well, let's play some hush money and all this stuff, and still yet your clickbait headline is, did they fuck up Forbidden Door? You know, I just don't get that. That
could be evil billionaire ruins company
and lives.
Yeah.
You know, countless lives going back to the 80s. Let's talk about that. We'll pick a new one every day, you know, but no, it's not that. It's like that Mark Tony Khan. It's like they all listen to Jim Cornette or something. And Jim Cornette was proven ignorant once again throughout this pay-per-view tonight.
Yeah, it's the crazy thing about show business is that some people do character work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And some people have characters that incite people into mass riots of ignorance.
Yes, and I think we have seen that on full display.
But we should just give it another year because this last one played out pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, especially tonight. We got starting it off, and of course, it's crazy that we still have the same announce team. That I have to point that out again because, man, it was smooth.
And we love JR and Tony Schiavone.
Yeah.
It's nothing against them.
Yeah, no. But for this event,
it was catered to us.
Yeah, for this event, it really needed to be the way it was. We come out with Chris Jericho, Minoru Suzuki, and Sammy Guevara. And, of course, they had Takanti against Eddie Kingston, Wheeler Yuta, and Shota Umino, or Shooter, as we graciously call him. It was one of those things that very from the first, you know, you have Suzuki coming out and you have the perfect entrance, you know, the fans all into it. The Kaze ni Nare, you know, everybody's all over it. It feels like Tokyo Dome. They're making references to Jericho, making Shota tap in front of his father, Red Shoes, you know, back in 2018. And, so that came into play because history always does.
It was a big Easter egg because Shooter became the hero of the match.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Became a star.
And no one expected it. But that's what this pay-per-view was for.
Yeah, totally built. This match really felt that way, that it was built around that because he was taking the most beatings. You've already created a huge star out of Yuta. And, so he's considered one of the top dogs now. And, for good reason. He holds it up. He went and did a great Super Juniors, had a really good showing over there. We had a whole lot of the back and forth that you expect, a lot of the fighting spirit stuff, a lot of the chops back and forth, a lot of the kicks back and forth. But we also had some high-flying, spectacular stuff with Guevara and Yuta and Umino even. So it was really what you would want for an opener, because this thing, man, the fans just made this. This thing was hot. I mean, it was absolutely hot. Kingston was ready to fight.
Every time Kingston and Suzuki got in the ring.
My God. Kingston was absolutely ready to fight. There was a big chop exchange between Kingston and Suzuki that was just beautiful, and a lot of the selling back and forth. Kingston actually put over Suzuki as the monster, like he should. He would give the chop and then take the chop back until he finally got over to give him those, machine gun chops. But Suzuki walked right out on it, no selling him, and Suzuki dropped him with a forearm. The crowd popped, huge on this. Kingston came back with machine gun chops on Jericho, sent Guevara to the floor with one chop, and Suzuki caught Kingston in the arm scissors on the ropes. And Jericho worked over Kingston's arm. Suzuki hit a huge PK on Kingston for a near fall. And Suzuki, Guevara, and Jericho each locked one of their opponents into a submission. And it was a pretty cool spot. Guevara dove off the top onto an exploder suplex from Kingston. And then got the tag to Umino. And Umino took Suzuki out with an elbow and a drop kick. Then Shooter got a near fall with the Fisherman's. And Guevara hit a shooting star press on Umino on the floor. Yuta and Kingston followed up with dives of their own. Suzuki teased his own dive, but as we've seen before in some indies, he laughed that off. Instead, took out Umino with a forearm. Back up in the ring, Kingston hit a backdrop driver on Guevara and locked in a stretch plum, but Suzuki broke that one up. They ran into spinning back fist from Kingston. Everyone started hitting crazy moves on everyone else. Jericho hit a suplex on Kingston. Guevara cutter on Umino, and Yuta a splash from the top on Guevara. It was just nonstop. Finally, we get, Conti distracting Yuta, and Guevara was able to blindside Yuta with the GTH, which was Sammy fucking kills people with that GTH.
Ty Conti is a terrible, terrible, horrible woman.
Yes, she is.
And Sammy Guevara, as a day one fan, both of us, is a disgraceful human being.
Yes. We love Sammy from back in the times when we had to get a hold of him about why he didn't have 2X Panda shirts. That's how long we've loved him. It's like some people jump on that train. We jumped on that train when we're like, still in the like 10, 20 episodes of the web.
When that train's still just in Texas.
Yeah, just in Texas.
Wrestle Circus
was the big thing for him. His first trip to Mexico, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like following him like that, imagining someday being able to see him live.
And see him as such a horrid heel.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely love it. Because, of course we're heel people. But we get back in there. Umino locked in a Boston Crab, I should say. But Guevara broke it up, and a pair of super kicks happened. Suzuki took out Kingston with the gotch style pile driver, which he should be done after that. This left Umino 3-on-1 with the heels. And even though he managed to dispose of Suzuki and Guevara, Jericho hit Umino with the dreaded Judas effect, and Jericho got the pinfall. But Shooter became a star.
I smell some more Shooter and Jericho down the line.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he eventually has to get that. Jericho loves taking the young talent and elevating them.
As we've seen.
Many times. Regardless of people's opinion on that, funny how it works. When it's all said and done and these stories play out as they have to play out, they don't happen overnight. They're stories. They're old school angles, which are set up to have long runs.
For adults.
Yes.
This isn't children's programming.
Exactly. We can't do it it's not instant gratification. And thank God. Thank God it's not. But as a result of the win, Jericho's team gets the advantage on the Blood and Guts this coming Wednesday. Now, if you have ever watched pro wrestling, you know the heel team must have the advantage in War Games. It's just how it works.
That's how the match works.
Yeah, it's just how it works. So this was great. We knew going in it was going to happen this way. But you know what? In pro wrestling, sometimes it's good to know how it's going to end and then have it actually end that way. Call me crazy, but, and it was a great opener. Look, too early for star ratings because I really need to go back and look at stuff. But just going on a Melcher scale on things, I would honestly give this one 4 stars. I really would, just for being an opener and for what it was and developing a character, developing a star out of this, and especially something that was somewhat thrown together. That's you got to look at the factors involved. And always consider how into the crowd was, so with all those factors, is it an all-time classic? No, hell no, it's not. Did it do everything it needed to do to further storylines, get storylines, new storylines, and make a star? Yeah, absolutely. We go on to something that I can say is probably an all-time classic, because we had FTR, and this was for all the baloney. Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler against Roppongi Vice of Trent Beretta, Rocky Romero, and the United Empire's Jeff Cobb and Great O'Khan for the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team titles that are held by Cobb and O'Khan, and the ROH World Tag Team Championships, obviously held by FTR after that classic they won them in. And this match, we had Caprice Coleman join the commentary. Bobby Cruz, as a little side note for you Trivial Pursuit buffs, did the ring introductions, which is always nice. So, really cool stuff here. And I listen, real or shoot, whatever, I don't care. But Dax Harwood hurt his shoulder on an elbow drop, and there was just something fantastic because he had to go to the back. Of course, Doc Sampson comes out, and everybody's like, oh God, Cash Wheeler's going to have to fight this on his own with the other two teams. And, so it really felt like to me that it was all storyline, because it's the perfect storyline. Especially
playing to the fans screaming from the drive-thru. It was the perfect way to go about things.
Absolutely. And really, I mean, after he goes to the back, as I said, in storyline, what's going to happen with Cash? And we had Roppongi have to get tagged in at times. We had all kinds of just, look, really the dominance from Great O'Khan. And that man is just a superstar. He is a super heel, old school heel that I love. Jeff Cobb, same thing. Just that old school heel, and they were owning this. It really looked like this was going to be a big win for them. They were going to get both the titles, but out of nowhere, taped up like a hero, you see the fans erupt, and Harwood comes back to the ring, got a gigantic pop.
Very Rocky entrance.
Oh my God, yeah, he loved the shoulder tape. He got the tag from Wheeler right off, man, and he took the fight, fired up, beating on Cobb and O'Khan. He took out O'Khan with a clothesline. He hit 3 rolling Germans on Cobb. The crowd was, hugely behind FTR, as we've seen them for quite a while now. And FTR obviously is eating it up. Absolutely eating it up. Beretta and Harwood teamed up to suplex Cobb, and Wheeler flew in off the top with a splash for the 2. Wheeler and Romero teamed up to spike pile drive O'Khan. Beretta went for the strong 0 on Cobb, but Cobb countered with a power bomb. Cobb hit the standing moonsault on Romero and tossed Beretta into a German suplex from Cobb for a near fall. Romero took out Wheeler and O'Khan with a tope, and then teamed up with Beretta for a strong 0 on Cobb for a near fall. Harwood tagged himself in and got caught with an O'Connor roll. That was definitely a 3. But
It's definitely a 3.
You know, the thing was, it's to the referee's credit. So he counts 1 without saying anything. And it's almost like, to the referee's credit, this could have happened. The shoulder could have came up. And then he counts again. And he says 1 because he wanted the people to know. You know, as a ref, do you have time to say, hey, that first one was starting to count, but then son of a bitch lifted his shoulder up, and now it's a new count?
No, because you hear about wrestlers being ring generals, but the true ring general is the referee.
I mean, I think, honestly, even though, yes, there was a 3 count in succession, but I think it was 1 because he didn't say 1.
It might be one of those things we have to go back and watch because he could have broke the count.
Yeah, I think that he's seen that. And then he was like, okay, and wanted the guys to know. So he's like 1, 2, and there was a kick out right then.
I mean, it's a fight. In UFC, we don't see people.
Right. I mean, we got to take the end of the day, the referee's word is bond. So regardless, that could have taken heat out of it, and the crowd chanted, "You fucked up." I mean, and that was 3 and
at the
all
same
this
time.
stuff. Yeah, but you know what? They got it back really, really, really quick because out of nowhere, Wheeler and Harwood hit the big rig on Romero, and they got the pin, and the fans forgot every fucking thing at that point. The cool thing about it, it made FTR, the IWGP, the Ring of Honor, and the Triple H tag team champions. That's right. Again, they are the fucking New Japan champions. They're the Ring of Honor champions, which Ring of Honor is coming back in late July. That's what we've heard here recently. And the AAA tag team champions all at the same time. I mean, Jesus, dude.
I think I know what's next.
Well, I mean, it's got to be. It's got to be. We got to have that rematch.
The story that's been built for so long.
For so long.
The story.
Yeah.
That's been built for so long.
Dude, again, something that if you listen to certain whiny Yell at the Cloud podcast talking about, well, these guys, they get fucked over and they get shit on constantly. They just fucking shit on them. They just, what are they doing? They're jobbing them out. God damn. Yeah. When in fact, what they're doing is building a story where these guys are getting fucked over and these guys aren't getting their due, and slowly turning them babyface because who doesn't get behind the people that are getting fucked over?
We have a 2022 Ultimo Dragon tag team.
Yeah. And they have done everything. You can't bring these guys in, not these guys from another company, and say, okay, these guys are baby faces and we're going to have them win everything. No, you can't have them come in as heels and dominate your baby faces that you home grew right off the bat because that makes you look fucking weak.
And the best tag team in the world.
Yeah.
For years.
Absolutely. And so you have, what this is built to is the 2 best tag teams, period. The 2 best tag teams of our generation, and I would dare say, I know it's going to piss some people off, especially friends of mine that are part of tag teams that are some of the best tag teams of all time. But it's different. There's just differences, okay? These are 2 of the best tag teams of all fucking time. And you could put them in any time period because whatever you want to say about the Bucks and their psychology, all they do is play you with their psychology. That's all they've ever done.
And it was enough to start a company.
Yeah. I mean, they absolutely use what's at their disposal to make you wonder if it's real, if it's not.
Fuck the Young Bucks.
Yeah, exactly. When they're probably the nicest sons of bitches in the business. But we're going to have, imagine this, guys. We're going to have Ring of Honor operating. You're going to see FTR in Japan. You're going to see FTR in AAA. You're going to see FTR in Ring of Honor. You're going to see FTR on Dynamite. And then they're going to challenge for these belts. For the AEW belts. They got to be number 1 contenders. How could you not be number 1 contenders when you're the champion of the other 3 federations? And it's going to be for all the fucking marvels. For the first time ever, you're going to have a true unified champion because you're going to have the only federations out there that matter. The actual federations with television and wrestling, actual wrestling. And I mean, it's just crazy, absolutely nuts. This match, when you have the Young Bucks versus FTR for fucking everything, that's a huge match.
It's what we've been waiting on.
Yeah, so much at stake in that. But I'm really happy for FTR. I mean, and so is all the fans. You feel like you've been on this journey with them. It was just an amazing match.
I don't feel like there can't be one fan, like actual true fan of wrestling, that is not happy for Dax and Cash winning those titles.
Yeah, because they are us. They are the guys who absolutely, man, these guys skull dipping, fucking Asheville living. These guys came up loving wrestling. They came up through the indies. They came up watching the old school shit. They respect the old school shit. And here they are as the fucking champions. And it's just awesome.
As themselves.
Yeah, and it's going to piss the Young Bucks off in story, the fact of how much love they get as the champions. Because they seem like the real champions right now. If you were to ask me, who's the tag champions? FTR. I mean, it just feels that
because
way.
The Young Bucks get the opposite reaction from those fans.
It feels that
grateful.
way. And they got to make those AEW belts also mean just as much. The AEW belts need to mean more than any other belts because of the tag team love in AEW. So this gets us, oh my God, this match. Before we get to it though, we had Shivani. He interviewed Juice in the back with IWGP US belt over his shoulder, and Jay White with IWGP World Champion. And the whole thing about this was just getting Juice over as a piece of shit that had his kidney infection or what the hell ever, couldn't make it, couldn't defend it. And hey, everybody who couldn't defend the belt ever gets it stripped,
like John Moxley.
Yeah, regardless. So you're better than John Moxley. You don't need to have yours stripped. I love the fact that they're making it an angle because it's kind of funny. I really just want to see something hilarious, like where somebody just steals it, like right under his nose. Like something really good. In the old days, it would be like hire Eddie Guerrero to go in there and do it. Something like that. But good stuff. We know where it's headed. It'll be good regardless. But he needs to give that title up. Next, we come up to Pac, that bastard, Malachi Black with the best mask. Malachi Black on a New Japan show coming out in a black demonic Oni mask. If you know, you know. If you don't look it up because it'll ruin your life. Miro looking fantastic. And a very game Clark Connors, who's subbing for Tomohiro Ishii,
who had a great showing.
Clark Connors also became a star because you can't come out of this match without showing the fight this kid had. I mean, he looked great.
With the top competitors in AEW.
Oh, absolutely. The bruisers.
To get thrown into that match and to take that match last minute is ridiculous.
And Miro even said, we watched a little bit of an interview earlier in the day that Miro did with somebody, and he was on there and he's like, yeah, this kid, I don't know who this kid is. I've not watched this shit, but he's going to get fucked up.
I mean, it's like taking a Brock Lesnar fight on a week notice. It really is.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely. This is for the most beautiful belt that I've seen in AEW, the All Atlantic Championship. And let me, again, to the haters, the All Atlantic is because of the business dealings we're doing, we being AEW, which I have no affiliation with, but hey, if anybody wants to, I'm always game. AEW has this wonderful following in England. And in fact, it's the number one wrestling program, I don't know if you knew this or not, on British soil. So that's pretty big deal because they're in a shitty time slot. And they're still the number one. Okay, so yes, there's people from Japan that wrestle for this belt. It's not about that. It's about the fact that there is an All Atlantic, which, encompasses all the European countries.
It's representation.
Yeah, it's all the Europe. It's like basically having a European title, except
half of our roster's from fucking England.
Yeah, exactly. it's exactly like having a European title, except it encompasses everybody in that sector, and it's a beautiful belt. And there is so many quality workers. Okay, a lot of shows, and quality workers. When Ring of Honor starts up, we're going to lose some of these people from a weekly basis because they're going to be in Ring of Honor. And there will not be crossover like people think. I think that they'll keep that very separate to be able to build that brand. And, which is good. Regardless, we had and on that last match, by the way, I'd be remiss, star-wise, personally, I'd give that a 5-star match. It's at the very slightest, it's 4.75. If you don't want to just toss out 5-star matches, but because of the stakes and because of the win and because of the old school trope of the guy coming back in and again with what they were faced with, and the fans. But this one, my God, Pac and Malachi went after each other really quickly. Connors tried his best to lay low, but Miro got into him. They did put these guys together well, because Miro needed to be with Connors so he could just ragdoll him around.
And Connors took a beating.
He did take a beating. And Pac and Black makes sense. Okay, there's a lot of history there. So we had Pac doing incredible stuff, coming off of springboards on the Miro, who caught him with a fallaway slam. Miro hit an Uranagi on Connors for a near fall. Black and Miro worked over Pac with stomps, occasionally getting each other's way. Miro dumped Black to the floor, then caught Pac with the spine buster for a near fall. The match was absolutely dominated by Miro. Okay, throughout this entire match, Miro was the unbeatable monster.
He's an unstoppable force.
Yeah, absolutely. We had so many incredible like German suplexes, knee strikes, all the fare you would expect. Connors again getting the hell beat out of him constantly. Black at one point dropped to the floor and pulled out a table, and Taz said, big pop for the table. Black leaned the table up against the ring barricade. Black and Miro struggled to send each other into the table, so Miro sent Black into the steps instead. And here comes Connors, who hit Miro with a spear out of nowhere, sent Miro through the table. Back in the ring, Connors hit Black with a spinning power slam, then caught Pac with a spear. Connors hit the trophy kill on Pac, which is an inverted Blue Thunder Bomb for a near fall. The crowd started cheering, "Let's go Clark." So they did their job. Connors ran into a super kick from Pac. Pac went for the Black Arrow, but Malachi Black caught him. This set up a superplex stacker spot with Miro on the bottom, powerbombing everyone. Miro tossed out Black and Connors, hit the macho kick on Pac, then locked in the game over. Black hit Miro with the Black Mist. Black tried to lock Connors in a hold, but Pac came off the top with the Black Arrow, then locked Connors into the Brutalizer to get the tap out and the All-Atlantic Championship. Fantastic match. Unexpected winner for us, because one of us thought Malachi and the other thought Miro.
For me, this title is going to be my title. For me, it's like the Cruiserweight title in WCW. It's like the European title in WWF.
Yeah.
It's going to have the wrestlers I enjoy watching.
Yeah.
The workers.
Right.
Very physical, violent matches like the Never Openweight.
Yeah.
It's our favorite.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's just, I think it's going to be that kind of title, and that's what they need.
It's the bruiser / workers. And imagine the cruiserweights grew up. And, it's the workers that work, but still work that kind of cruiserweight style. Not as much flippy as just flamboyant and incredible moves and just gangbuster moves. Good stuff, man. We got Schiavone coming out for commentary after this. And my God, Sting, Darby Allin, and Shingo Takagi against the Young Bucks and El Phantasmo. By the way, again, 4+ star match on that final match that we just went over.
Before we get into the next one, do you know Sting's age?
Well, not right off. I think it's
too old to be jumping off the fucking top of a tunnel at the beginning of the match.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's 60+ is all I know.
And doing it phenomenally.
Yeah, you can't tell. He looks better than he did in TNA to me.
For sure. Everyone looks better than they did in that TNA.
Yeah. So this one was surprising because we see the Sting. I wonder if that was fake Sting. That it was NWO Sting up in the rafters. But we saw the fake Sting up in the rafters. It was black. The guys come out, the lights come back on. Darby's got a shit-eating grin on him, and then Sting flies off the top.
He took flight,
and he just killed everybody. And it's Sting. I mean, it's just nuts. I mean, it was nuts. This fucking match, Young Bucks and Phantasmo getting killed by Sting is how we started off. But the Young Bucks wearing the Bullet Club gear and playing it completely beautiful. I mean, not only did they have the Bullet Club gear on, they played it with the two sweets. They played it with everything they should. Phantasmo has grown on me because of his insanity.
He was the best third for the Bucks that I think we could have gotten, and I don't think anybody expected that.
No, and he's obviously a Bucks fan because he was doing some of the shit the Bucks do.
It was incredible.
It was definitely probably the funnest match of the entire night. Darby Allin got triple teamed by the Bullet Club in a corner. Excalibur pointed out it's the first time that Darby Allin and the Young Bucks had touched ever in the ring. Al Phantasmo, he did the back rake spot where he goes all nutty and everything like Matt Jackson. And Matt Jackson had to one-up him and do this super over-exaggerated back rake. So there's really funny stuff. The straight punch to the dick on Sting.
I don't think it took away from the match at all.
No. It was just, because it's what we expect. Again, educated fans.
Yeah.
And so one of the funny things in this match is Sting seemed to forget where he was at one point. Cleared the ring out, gets to the outside, and Nick Jackson's like, bro,
you're supposed to be in there.
Yeah, you need to go back in the ring. And he goes back in there, and of course that's where he gets the dick punch back on Phantasmo. But you know what? A discerning eye would notice that, but I don't know how many people would really notice that. But it's also, let's just imagine for a second that it's real. Okay, everything's real. How often would Grandpa come out of the ring and he'd be like, "Hey, that motherfucker's still in the ring." Oh, okay, hold on a second. Let me go whip him right in the dick. It was good stuff. Hikuleo distracted the ref, and that's when Phantasmo low-blowed Sting, as I'm talking about. Young Bucks gave Sting the super kick party, and he no-sold it, which was fucking beautiful. But that's where we got to the point that come back in there. We had a bang for the buck. Everything. They played the hits. Shingo did great in this. The dives were there. All the dives were there. So the Bucks there comes a point where the Bucks go for the BTE trigger, Sting duck, they hit each other's knees, and then he gets him with the double Scorpion Death Drop. Sting then gave Phantasmo the purple nurple. This is the part we're talking about to get it back because, they got Sting's nipples earlier in the match. Just a fun-ass match, man. In the ring, Takagi and Phantasmo were legal. Takagi got a near fall with the pumping bomber. Shingo hit the Made in Japan, and Takagi got the pinfall, which is fantastic. It was perfect for everybody. This one, I don't know what kind of star rating you give on this one, except, hey, 2 thumbs up. It was
a Young Bucks greatest. It was Kiss Alive, too.
Yeah, it was. It was, exactly that. That's a great call because you got all the hits. And anybody who has loved the Young Bucks for years, you got all the Bullet Club, you got all the Too Sweet, you got you got the Young Bucks you wanted to see in AEW, but we're afraid to ask. And they truly delivered 100%. Tony then interviews Shota in the back, and the Wizard hit him with a fireball, which again, we're making that kid a star. He's on the fast track. Then we had something interesting. AEW World Women's Championship, Thunder Rosa, Toni Storm. I'm going to tell you this much. So there's been a lot of talk online about Thunder Rosa sandbagging. Okay? And listen. I I don't know. I went back and when I was watching the match that she allegedly sandbagged in the first place, I said as much when I was watching it. But then I seen all these people who probably don't know better all jumping on the train, and it could have been a number of things. Okay? It could have been a number of things. But if you go back to the Evil East incident, and you go back to Evil East sitting there like, what the fuck is going on? That look on her face. The look she got in trouble for. Because you should never do that. But what else happened? You know, I'm a big smoke and fire kind of guy. And when you have several people that smell smoke.
There was several documented cases of.
Several documented cases. And we saw it in this. Because not only did the Thunderfire driver nearly kill Toni Storm, I've never seen that move not land on her thigh.
I've never seen, I wouldn't say never, but Toni Storm's one of those performers. She's well oiled in the ring.
Yeah.
You see a Toni Storm match and she's a great wrestler.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of times you see her go for a back body drop and the other person go over the fucking side.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was like it was weird. There was definitely some struggle in lifting Thunder a few times, like when they had me try to body slam a midget in training. You know, you just
bottom heavy.
You don't expect it. And if anybody's body heavy, it should be Toni, but she goes over just fine. Listen, I actually tweeted this out. Are they trying to make Thunder a heel?
I don't think you would have to make Thunder a heel.
Are you trying to make Thunder a heel because of what the fans seen? Is it one of these things where maybe an accident happened? Maybe she played it off as an accident. And Tony Khan, who is proven to change things, listen to the fans, but not have to come out and say that he's listening. I seen it in her face. You've seen it in her face. There was a frustration that happened when she didn't get the pin on the Thunderfire driver, when she was going kind of fucking nuts.
Yeah, and I mean, and the look in Toni Storm's eyes was, what the fuck?
Yeah, what's going on?
I'm about to whoop this bitch's ass.
Right. And then we get the finish in there, and because she had to use the other move, and so she hit the Dustin Rhodes finisher, the Final Reckoning deal, and she got the pinfall. But when she went for the, as I like to call it, the abusive male, you know, after you tear the phone off the wall and kick the dog and you're really sweet to the woman for the rest of the day.
Who still has a wall phone?
Well, yeah. Who does still have a wall phone? That's funny. That little Johnny Depp reference, huh? That's funny. Wow. Little Amber Heard Johnny Depp on Blind Tag Wrestling. You never know. You never see it coming.
Yeah, there's shit flying everywhere.
Oh, my God. Oh, God. Damn, I'd like to watch it trial again. Anyway, so that was the best pro wrestling all year.
Johnny Depp's a worker.
He is a worker.
Goddamn, and he popped.
He is a worker.
Everyone.
He is a worker. Some of those drug references when he was like giggling. That's
yeah. I snort coke off of hookers with Marilyn Manson.
He's like, well, I believe you would keep cocaine in that. It's just like, oh wow, Paul Bettany. Who knew? Anyway,
it was a bad year for that friend group.
So then we have Salty Balls come out for commentary. JR had been sitting in the back all night, obviously listening in on the headset, and by this point he was red ass JR.
Drinking some stiff mules.
I mean, listen, brother. JR didn't waste no fucking time. He came out, Kevin Kelly's trying to give a history lesson on Juice Robinson, and he's like, well, this has got on my damn match, you know.
Hard juice.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. But hey, he did a great job. He did. He again hit all the hits, right? You pulled the string in his ass and he says all the things.
Slobber knocker.
Yeah, says all the things he needs to say.
Woodshed.
Quick first step. Blue chipper. But
mule.
Yeah, but
goddamn his mule.
Listen. How much would you hate to be JR's fucking mule? You know, like all the stories about him being raised with his daddy on that farm. And
the woodshed and the mule.
The woodshed and the mule. So that poor mule. I think that the government awarded them a mule and they beat the fuck out of that thing.
The sad eyes of that mule every morning. Just seeing all.
Can you imagine old JR coming out? He's pissed off because, he's wanting to watch wrestling on that one channel at his granny's house, and he don't have time.
Little kid cowboy hat.
Yeah, little kid cowboy hat, and he comes out and he's like, "Hey, mule, how's it going?" And the mule doesn't have a quick first step.
I like to envision the mule tied up in the back of a truck like that one Adam Sandler album with the goat.
With 3-foot rope.
Yeah.
This beat the fuck out of that mule. I think we think about that now every single time. It's like the Undertaker and cucumbers.
He hits me, but he still loves me.
Hell, man. Hey, JR. How about we be friends? Shut up, mule. I'll beat your government mule. I am a government mule, you dumb fucking redneck. So
go back to your barbecue sauce.
Yeah. It's mule flavored. So anyway, back to this incredible show. We had Will Ospreay with the very underutilized, you guys don't know how sexy these guys are, Aussie Open with him. Go watch Rev Pro. Just fucking go watch some Rev Pro and watch Aussie Open on there. Against Orange Cassidy. Now, I am going to be in the majority here that didn't expect what I got out of this match. This match, sometimes you have sayings, right? We were just talking about some of the sayings. One of my sayings is that match had no business being that good. This is the epitome of that match had no business being that good. As in, what the fuck happened? Dude, listen, we've heard for years. We've seen little spurts. We've seen little spurts of Orange Cassidy.
It goes back to GCW in Chikara where he can fucking go.
Yeah.
We've seen it.
Yeah. So not only did Orange Cassidy go, Orange Cassidy went in a straight up New Japan match. This was a straight up New Japan match.
And he still worked his style.
Dude, it was amazing. Ospreay sold it beautifully because all of that shit, he played it off like it's the psychology that he does to try to fuck with people. And Orange did it enough to piss him off, but also was like, no, I'm fucking working. And, respected to IWGP US belt enough to work it that way. This is one of those you can't even call except for the fact of Ospreay doing the Kawada kicks and Orange Cassidy going and doing the Kawada kicks back and just doing the barely tapping shit and the fans selling it like he's killing him. But then Orange snaps and does the fucking Kawada kick so hard that Kawada fucking set up somewhere. Listen, this was amazing and honestly had me believing many times that this was going to be Ospreay going down. It was there was the normal interference, there was stuff like that, but this match was fucking amazing.
To me, this match was beautiful in another way because of Ospreay's selling.
It was. Ospreay's selling was fantastic. He proved that he is a main eventer because he can work with fucking anybody. He really can. And this is one of those, Kenny Omega, I love you, buddy. But the statement this week about Ospreay having, 15 5-star matches nobody remembers. This is going to be a 5-star match that we do remember because it was a 5-star match. As far as matches go, okay, all the little ingredients that go into a match, the stakes, the fans, the never seen shit like that before, all that stuff, the story, which we didn't know there was as much of a story as there was. And it all ended up out there. After this match that just barely Ospreay survived, they Aussie Open, went to town. We had the best friends come out. Well, Roppongi come out.
No Chuck.
Poor Chuck. But and then we had something we didn't expect. Fucking Shibata. My guy, the wrestler, Shibata, came out looking very Shibata. And Shibata, well, he beat the fuck out of everybody. as Shibata does. And rumor has it that Shibata's going to be full-time.
There was nothing flaccid about this whole spot. Shibata very hard. That was incredible. I mean, if they could put a camera in our living room,
yeah,
you would have thought that we just launched the first shuttle into space when Shibata walked through the curtains.
Yeah, and those fans, again, showed their education because they were all over it. Shibata got Cassidy sunglasses. It was a cool moment. And speaking of cool moments, holy shit. They'd wasted no time. There was no, well, I wonder who the mystery person is going to be. One of my favorite wrestlers, anybody who watches this show or listens to this podcast knows that good old ZSJ. Hey, bro, right over while Dragon Ball X and pound to the spare fish and chips. Everybody knows I love ZSJ. And why not love ZSJ? Because he is arguably the greatest technical wrestler in the planet. We won't know until that match happens. Bryan Danielson and ZSJ is going to be 70% shoot because they've went back and forth on that Observer Award so many times. But we got promised by Bryan Danielson, hey, I don't let you down. This person is not only going to be a new member of the Blackpool Combat Club, which should tell you everything you need to know. Because they're not going to bring fucking Johnny Gargano in to be the Blackpool Combat Club. But, it still could have been someone else. It still could have been Samoa Joe, even though that would have been a letdown because he's already there. But, holy shit. It was, we'll call him right here in a second, but it was fucking Cesaro. And as soon as the music hit, this is that guy. This is like one of those guys in the E that all the hardcores love. We go back to Kings of Wrestling, right? We go back to all the reasons we love Claudio.
Or you could watch Wrestling Road Diaries with Colt Cabana. I mean, it's this company is built by his best friends.
Right.
It's all the same people we watched in PWG and all those for years with him.
Right.
Forming what modern wrestling is.
Right.
So I think everyone expected it, and I was relieved that it wasn't any of the other rumors.
Right.
Because this is what we needed.
And it should have been it's a long time coming.
For one of the most underrated wrestlers in the world for the last 10 years.
Yeah. Finally going to get his due.
He is.
He's finally going to get his due. And the fans, listen, I don't have a decimal counter. But when Claudio came out, it was the CM Punk pop. It wasn't sustained.
It wasn't as long, but it was definitely as loud.
It was as loud. It definitely was as loud. I mean, it shook the foundation. IIO. And it was one of those amazing moments in wrestling that had to give him goose pimples. And it was one of those that, H coming out at the Garden. It was one of those moments that
you could see it in his wife. He was stuck in that terrible marriage with that awful hag for years, and then he goes to the grocery store single and sees his first beautiful partner.
It was amazing. It was fucking amazing. It really was. And I felt so good for him.
For me, every time we see those moments, it just reminds you of being that kid in elementary school getting picked on, because that's that kid. Yeah. And then you see the joy in his eyes, and it just reflects onto the screen and to the fans. I mean,
absolutely.
AEW is for that.
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of the feel-good moments. One of the best feel-good moments that I've had in a while. And it didn't really matter what happened in the match to me after seeing him there. But what happened is he sold. And he made ZSJ look like a monster because ZSJ is that good. And the right thing happened because ZSJ's smart enough. And if you take it, listen, let's kayfabe this, right? Short notice. I don't know who my opponent is. And my opponent is a fucking monster. I mean, listen. The strength of Claudio Castagnoli is legendary.
Otherworldly.
Yes. I mean, he is one of those strong tendon kind of guys.
If you don't believe us, go look up him doing CrossFit.
Yeah. He's fucking amazing. So, Claudio had the strength. He showed the strength off. But ZSJ did the ZSJ stuff that'll get ZSJ over.
He's so quick.
Yeah.
There's no hesitation in any hold.
He knows the stuff. He doesn't have to think. So he sees the appendage. He can do what he needs to do.
It's just muscle memory. He just...
To reverse it. Yeah. He
picks his opponents apart.
He's a deadly, deadly death machine. And this match went 18 minutes and 28 seconds, and it felt like 5. And, I mean, listen, we almost had his return to wrestling, almost 20-minute match, and it was absolutely awesome. It was absolutely fucking awesome. He, at a point, he carried Zach up the stairs and dumped him back in the ring.
With not one fan sitting down in the entire arena. Kept
teasing the giant swing because people love that. He only got 5 when he did get the giant swing because he's selling the arm. ZSJ taunted Castagnoli toward the end, giving an uppercut. Sabre, he got caught with a choke. Then he tied up Castagnoli for submission. Sabre hit a series of kicks for a near fall. Claudio popped an uppercut and then hit an arm trap power bomb. Castagnoli got the pinfall. And like I said, almost 20 minutes. I don't know again, but I would have to give this as close to perfect as possible.
It's a 5-star moment.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. With everything involved in it, we go straight from that, folks. Straight from that to Jay White, who had Gato with him, against Kazuki Okada, Hangman Page, and Adam Cole. This match went 21 minutes and 2 seconds. It had the stuff we thought would happen with Cole and teaming up as much as possible with Jay White, until Cole was the one that turned on Jay. And, so Okada kept trying to get the Rainmaker, several times in this. Hangman looked like a stud, as he has for quite a while now. It was an incredible match, a lot of back and forth, a lot of very, the physicality in this was incredible. We had a great Okada Page Booyah spot. That was really cool. But toward the end, and I went back and have seen now where it happened, but Cole popped his shoulder out.
Yeah.
And so Jay White did what you have to do. He took it home.
But it's like we discussed before. In an actual fight, you're going to take advantage of the opponent that is hurt.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't see anything wrong with that. In fact, it sets up other things. But I think Cole came into this with an injury. But he definitely popped his shoulder out. And that was what you need to do. And storyline-wise, is fantastic. Because as the Bucks came down to check on Cole,
Jay White kept walking.
Right.
Stop.
Yeah, exactly. This is all on the fly.
Yeah, and Jay White, he put over that he's the true leader of Bullet Club, and Taz had mentioned earlier in the match that Adam Cole was being bossy.
Yeah.
Telling Jay White what to do, and Jay White wasn't really digging it too much, so it kind of fits perfectly for what they were working the entire match.
Jay White's like, look, you didn't belong in this match in the first place. I said as much.
Yeah.
And he showed it. And this could really set up some storyline stuff that's fantastic.
And some great matches with Jay White and Adam Cole.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So we go straight from that, which was incredible. Okay. It was an incredible match. And I actually love the finish. I think it's a better finish.
And we got pay-per-view Okada in America.
Yeah.
Sex god Okada.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okada being over as hell. You get to see the drop kick. You got to see all the good stuff. And we're going to get more of it because, my God, there's no way out of it. He
loves America.
Yeah.
And America loves Okada.
I mean, that crowd. It's just amazing. Can you imagine when Kenny comes back?
Coming from a silent Tokyo Dome to...
When Kenny comes back and we get that Okada, Kenny Omega thing again.
The match that started the company.
I mean, dude.
The match is.
That's just sick. So then the only one I was worried about, okay? Jon Moxley against Hiroshi. Dude, I was worried about this. Hiroshi Tanahashi, after following all this.
All the stuff, yes. Moxley, like we talked about before, he's a violent opponent.
Yeah. Yeah. Mox has this ability, this crazy ability to work anybody. We've heard about working the broom, right? Those guys that work the broom and have a good match usually look like HBK and Ric Flair. They don't normally look like Jon Moxley. But Jon Moxley can work anything.
He could work the fan in the front row.
Yeah. Anybody.
Doesn't matter.
And you're going to believe that person has a chance to beat Jon Moxley. And it's amazing.
And we've seen it countless times, whether it was in a death match or on national television.
Yeah. He made Yuta. And the fans cheered it incredible. He's made so many people. And, you know, I love that about him because he's so non-selfish. And, but at the same time, he's an ass kicker. He's old school as hell. He loves pro wrestling. I
think that's it. I think we're drawn to him because of his sheer love of professional wrestling.
That's just what he does, man. He just loves pro wrestling. Guy sits around and watches wrestling. I mean,
and going into this match, it wasn't one that I probably looked past it more so than other matches on the card, but this ended up being my favorite match of the entire night.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing. And it ended up being a bloodbath on Mox's part.
Jesus.
You know, Tana looked great. And listen, Tanahashi, you can never take anything away from him. When they say he's the Japanese Bret Hart, I think Bret Hart is the Canadian Tanahashi. And, you know, I think you could go the other way with it, just from longevity.
Tana's a workhorse. Yeah. I mean, he put that company.
He saved that company.
On the back. I mean, there's no one that can say any differently. Tanahashi's the reason that New Japan's alive.
He saved the company.
Yeah.
And he was the one having these matches that have destroyed his body.
And he's a goddamn superstar.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And truly always the ace. So for John to get this match, and listen, he had a dominant win. Tana had to see that in him for this to happen.
For a bloody faced Jon Moxley screaming, "I'm the ace," Tana.
Yeah.
That's a moment that's going to live on forever.
Yes, it was stellar. It was stellar. This match, listen, just if you haven't watched it, what the hell are you doing with your life? This match was amazing. This match was another one that went 18 minutes, 16 seconds.
I think it was the right amount of time too.
I do as well. We had just incredible series of near falls. We had an incredible end to the match, and we had just everything that you can imagine going back with the high-fly flows, the high-fly flow to the floor. You had the paradigm shift, which they actually called death. You know,
the Death Rider.
Death Rider.
Thank God.
Yeah. So, and I mean, Excalibur. He loved Excalibur. He hit the Death Rider. He called it the Death Rider. Moxley gets the pin. Moxley is the AEW interim champion. And then after this happened, we get the Jericho Appreciation Society come out. They're fighting. We start getting some of Mox's boys come out, some of the combat. And then we get, again, to build our new star, we get Claudio come out and beat the shit out of everybody.
And Blood and Guts was built just as well as this pay-per-view was.
Yeah.
They are building Wednesday nights like a pay-per-view.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's never done. They built this to where anybody who watched this tonight is going to have to watch Wednesday night for so many reasons now.
It's can't miss TV.
Because there's so many reasons to watch, because there's so many things that are going to come out of this. There has been rumors already about Forbidden Door 2. They've already been talking about it, which I'm fucking happy about.
I would like to see one in the Tokyo Dome.
Yeah, it needs to be in Japan next time.
Yeah.
And we need to send a slew of people over for January 4th. I think that needs to happen.
Yeah.
So it's hopefully this working relationship, because here's the thing, folks. In business, when you're successful, everything's roses. And this was one of those nights where there was no wrong. There's no excuse that an AEW fan is going to have to make to anybody about something. This is one of those pay-per-views that is honestly going to live forever. This is an ECW one not stand. This is one of those pay-per-views that everybody's going to remember because it was special. It wasn't just some random bullshit that, sometimes it doesn't matter the names on the card. It matters the heart behind it. And the heart behind this was incredible. And I think of the chip on the shoulder about this, because perseverance is one of my favorite words. And it's the difference in winners and losers. In my world, the difference in winners and losers. And something I tell people in my hashtag Bruce Wayne job is nobody gives a flying fuck about how you acted or what you did when everything was going your way, when everything was good, when you were winning, when there was nothing wrong. Nobody remembers how you acted that day. Everybody judges you about when everything went fucking wrong, when you were losing, when there was no answer, when you had no help, when you were at the fucking bottom. How did you act? Did you persevere? And let me tell you something. You had Samoa Joe hurt. You have MJF doing what the fuck ever he's doing. You had
being a mark.
You have Kenny Omega out hurt. The messiah of the company. You have CM Punk, the biggest ever, out. You have Bryan Danielson out. And then you have a slew of characters.
To me, it was the best thing that could possibly happen, because all the time you're defending these names coming in.
Yeah.
Guess what? None of those goddamn names were on the fucking card.
Yeah.
And this was amazing.
Amazing. Listen, there's arguments to be made about, well, this match had this, this pay-per-view had the Lucha Brothers versus the Young Bucks in the cage and all this stuff. Yes, it's all memories. It's all fantastic. But I have never watched a pay-per-view from start to finish that kept me so entranced and fired up and excited for every fucking match the way this one did.
This pay-per-view was Pantera's Cowboy from Hell.
There you go. Absolutely. This is amazing. This was definitely the epitome of what can happen. It is what can happen when wrestling companies work together. And, take a clue from that, CMLL, because you could have had, you could have allowed some AAA guys to be on this card too. I don't think it could have made it better. It wouldn't have made it worse. But, when wrestling companies decide to say, you know what, let's work together. Let's really do this, because that's what happened with WWF originally. Is all the companies couldn't work together, and he knew that, and they all just fucking petered out. This was wrestling, and we love it. Fucking 1,000 stars, 40 thumbs up, all that good stuff. I'll still feel this way in a year. This was a fantastic time. Cody, thank you so much for, being part of the podcast. Hopefully this is not the last one you'll join me on.
Thanks for letting me come.
It was some good stuff. So, obviously it runs in the family here, a little Hawkins family love. So, I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did. And until next time, for Cody, I'm John. So long from Blind Tag Wrestling News Now.